Lyndon B. Johnson, his war on poverty. Lyndon B. Johnson was the 36th President of the United States. Lyndon B. Johnson took a stand for anti-poverty by passing multiple bills such as the Civil Rights Act of 1968 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Along with that, he passed over 60 education bills. Lyndon B. Johnson lived in Stonewall, Texas, where it remained as his hometown throughout his life. Lyndon B. Johnson was married to Claudia Alta, or Lady Bird Johnson, with daughters Lucy and Linda Baines. Lyndon B. Johnson was born on August 27, 1908, and died of a heart attack on his ranch in his hometown in Texas on January 27, 1973. Lyndon B. Johnson was a Democrat very experienced in politics. He was a congressional leader in 1931, elected to the House of Representatives in 1937, became a Senate Majority Leader in 1955. He was elected as Vice President in 1960. In 1963, Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn into president after the sad assassination of John F. Kennedy. In 1964, Lyndon B. Johnson was finally elected to full term. He won by so much he got the nickname Landslide Lyndon. Lyndon B. Johnson got into wanting to solve poverty because he not only saw it as a national problem, but he grew up around it. Although he wasn't necessarily affected by poverty, he saw what it did to others and felt he needed to take a stand. Lyndon B. Johnson planned to devote a lot of money towards solving poverty through something called the Great Society. Lyndon B. Johnson declared his war on poverty over 50 years ago during this speech. The Great Society was an idea created by Lyndon B. Johnson as an elimination of the poor and a set of domestic programs. Lyndon B. Johnson pushed to fruition this vision of his in 1965 by using his 1964 mandate. Along with this was the Model Cities program, which went hand in hand with the Great Society. The Model Cities program created places for people in poverty to stay at. It was created in about 1966. The new legislation created that the Model Cities program into a 115-year-long experiment for anti-poverty. The Model Cities program is still in effect today, and new models are being built for new cities. Lyndon B. Johnson had to take a stand for those who couldn't speak for themselves. He wrote the speech to the American Promise to get a national war on poverty started. The letter got Congress and the Americans on board with the plan. The quote, "Our objective, total victory," shows Johnson had a plan and planned to end poverty. The Civil Rights Act of 1968 offered all people equal rights, which led to stability. The stability provided people with a way to make money, which brought them out of poverty. As Lyndon B. Johnson signed the bill, Martin Luther King Jr. stood behind him in support for all rights for all people. Before the signing of the bill, Martin Luther King Jr. and Lyndon B. Johnson can be seen discussing the change that the civil rights movement has brought upon the U.S. Along with the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 gave all people with no discrimination towards race, religion, disability, etc. the right to vote. Lyndon B. Johnson believed a man without a vote is a man without protection, because a man not being able to choose who's vote for him was a man vulnerable to any law approved and made. Last, but most certainly not least, Lyndon B. Johnson believed education was not a problem but an opportunity, and that the opportunity was not being offered to enough people. By having the right education, people were able to get a job and homes, which provided prosperity. From there, Lyndon B. Johnson signed over 60 bills for education, including bills on equal education for disabled kids, Head Start programs for challenged kids, and many more. In conclusion, Lyndon B. Johnson took his presidency and used it as a way to take a stand for people in poverty. Although he had to step in after Kennedy's assassination, he was still able to make an everlasting effect on America with his war on poverty.